Again, 4%.
Huh?
PG.
We are live.
Live.
We are live? Yes, we are live.
We are live
Yes. Hello and welcome back
to Bulls, Bear and Banter.
Banter. हमारे बैंटर जी आज कोई इंटरव्यू करने गए हैं।
है ना
तो
Banter जी?
पर नया बैंटर आया हमारे यहाँ।
ये जॉब तो नहीं जाएगी ना, वो ठीक है।
नहीं
फिर ठीक।
क्या बैंटर कर रहे हो आज हमारे साथ बताओ।
अरे इन्फ्लेशन बहुत कम है, जॉब चली जाएगी तो फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, लाइफ निकल जाएगी। 1.6% आया।
ठीक है 1.4
1.6 1.6 वर्सेस 2.1, so 1.6% आया। तो 1.6% इन्फ्लेशन मतलब क्या है?
कुछ नहीं।
आप जाओ दाल खरीदो, दाल बेसन आटा खरीदो, 1.6%।
अगले महीने बढ़ जाएगा फिर से।
नहीं,
ये सस्टेन लग रहा है
ये साल। If you don't buy avocados and broccoli and kale and all that jazz, हमारे जैसे देसी हो तो इन्फ्लेशन ठीक है।
मतलब आलू प्याज मटर खाने वाले लोग।
Be Indian, eat Indian.
मैंगो मैन
Mango. क्या मार्केट?
मार्केट कुछ नहीं हो रहा है।
Steady
बस चल रहा है।
So yesterday I went to the MK conference बाद में हर
Yes.
शाम को, right? And आज सुबह उनके notes भी आए थे। So I think the takeaways that there are two takeaways. One के corporates are hoping, ठीक है? Center में होता है। The corporates are hoping that this resolution, some resolution will happen. So therefore, 50% is not the base case. Now the base case is around 25. If it comes below, then it is better. So that is part of it. The second option is relocation to other countries, which takes some time. Okay, which is not good news. For relocation, you rather make it in but for US, के लिए वो करना पड़ेगा. Part two is that there is optimism around pickup in demand in H2, particularly buoyed by festive season, which means that it's not necessarily pushed all the way to H2. It could well be starting end this current month.
But the consumption data has already, we spoke about yesterday also, right? You know how consumption, FMCG consumption data is talking about stocking up or trade going up by 11% in July because ahead of the August festive season, and that's what is reflecting the optimism which you're talking about, right? In that sense, but the question is whether it's converting into demand. आपने स्टॉकिंग तो कर लिया, आपने बना भी लिया इन एंटिसिपेशन ऑफ
नहीं, ये बोल रहे हैं डिमांड पिकअप होएगा H2 में। वो भी
H2 में इतना ट्रिगर्स है क्या? मतलब
मे बी देखो इंडिया में every hope is pinned on the festive season. Somehow festivals drive the country.
And this time it's sort of early also, na? So we'll start
that's
to
what
see.
I'm saying.
We'll start to
August,
see
September, October
from
में
August
तीनों खत्म हो
only.
जाए।
But I think that's good actually.
August
because,
end, na?
yeah, because we'll see that momentum start early, and we could see some signs of that in quarter 2 end only. So we could see that commentary coming from all these players away.
देखो मतलब अगस्त एंड से चालू होगा, but the pollution happens from 20th to 28th. तब तो हम कुछ बाय नहीं करते हैं जैन, so हमारा बाइंग भी अगस्त 28th से चालू होगा. So let's see.
So but when you spoke about the export issue which corporates are talking about, उसमें a lot of Indian companies which have exposure to the US over the past many years, मतलब 5 to 6 years, have moved some of the bases to Mexico, Canada already.
I think auto is the biggest factor of that. We are okay.
We already done on that.
Yeah.
The issue is with respect to labor-intensive sectors like
textiles,
leather,
and those are like direct impacts, right? So उसमें थोड़ा तो we could expect something.
but वहाँ the manufacturing cannot move to Bangladesh and Vietnam. That's what I'm trying to say. That is going to be a concern, which is there.
But what about the companies that already have sort of diversified? Like Pearl Global has manufacturing in Bangladesh as well as in Vietnam as well as in India.
Yeah, but you're facing some issues in Bangladesh anyways, right?
Yeah.
That sense.
पर ये तो नहीं है ना,
ये
I mean,
नहीं
at least not tariff.
ऑपरेशनल इश्यूज तो आ ही रहा है ना इंडियन कंपनीज को वहाँ पर.
पॉल गवर्नमेंट ने कभी ऑपरेशन की बात नहीं करी है.
बांग्लादेश में बाकी लोग को तो प्रॉब्लम आई ना.
अच्छा
The geopolitics
वो टाइम के लिए था, अभी रिजॉल्व होने लगा है.
I haven't heard anyone talking about that.
I mean, I think we had spoken to him 3 months ago, and he said that he's actually investing 110 crores in the Bangladesh facility in FY26. So I was kind of shocked that at this time, because up to it was still very peak, but he was saying that textile as a sector is so important to employment there and to their exports. I think it's 80% of the exports.
Yes.
is not that their facilities will be harmed, is what his view was specifically at that time.
No, logically, yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of every political decision, there is an economic rationale.
Yeah.
Simple. है. Eventually,
पैसा कहाँ बनता है?
ना
ये
भी
logic you are ये logic US में approve होता है क्या वाटी वाला?
हाँ?
ये logic जो आपने अभी बोला वो US के साथ approve होगा क्या?
पता नहीं.
वहाँ पर भी होगा?
But eventually, it's about economics, right? The conspiracy theories are
देखो, दो
also
चीजें, एक
with
पैसा,
regards to profit at the end.
दो चीजें ड्राइव करती है हर चीज पॉलिसी, एक पैसा और एक
वोट.
Vote.
पावर, समझ गए ना? तो ये दोनों ड्राइव करेंगे. वोट मिल गया और पैसा नहीं मिला तो फायदा नहीं है. पैसा मिल के वोट मिलना जरूरी है.
So,
But what's standing out today? PayTM?
PayTM is good. PayTM is good. I mean,
Sentimentally positive, but nothing much.
So, I think
incremental.
Pranav of Bernstein said that there are. So, ये जो move हुआ ना, it has no direct bearing on earnings, but the optionalities that come along with it, according to Bernstein, add up a lot of further. I was reading the city note that you sent as well, right? They haven't changed targets or anything.
Because payment aggregator doesn't give you much of a revenue base. It's when you increase other ways, like a payment bank comes into play, you are able to onboard more, customers or merchants, and then you're charging transaction revenues. That's how it is going to be important. So I think sentimentally, yes, positive. As Pranav said, and doesn't hold any stake directly. Indirectly, it still has around 10%. But that brings down the entire focus of the ownership issue, which was, preventing regulatory nodes for all those bank and the stuff.
So you think it's constructive?
It's constructive in that, but now what is the kind of base? It becomes a base for them. What are the kind of blocks which you're going to build in, which will now going forward generate business revenue for you? See, there was a time when PayTM claimed to have multiple business revenues and they were talking about it. It all came crashing down after the RBI. Now it is a question of how you're going to build each of the blocks, of how revenue generation and profitability is going to come, and that will determine things, and that needs some clarity because we're still far off because you need to have the payment bank license coming back. You need to have other stuff coming. It's an evolving business model for PayTM. Of course, their performance has been good in Q1. Q4 onwards, I think they've been improving a bit. Actually. So that is it. But still trades at 50 times EV by EBITDA.
And I think that's been the consistent story, right? Nykaa also, we reported strong earnings for the company. Look at the valuation of that. It's like,
it's also trading at 50 times.
Yeah, it's the valuation for such turnaround businesses essentially.
Yeah, but
so
the only
high.
good thing is that the fashion losses have come down.
Yeah.
BPC has margins are higher, but I think cost is a little higher because of the marketing in BPC.
Yeah.
Which has
and that will always be there, right? It's been the story of Nykaa. Then marketing costs always either in either division hamper profitability, but I think a lot of it is don't we expect that there will be some time correction now that the results have come in? It's still very expensive in that sense.
Yeah, but there isn't much of upside, right?
Yeah, I mean
everything boils down to earnings growth.
Earnings growth only.
तो सब चीज और वो उतना वो दिख नहीं रहा है.
With even the earnings growth, this valuation looks very tough, right? Even if they have one straight good year of Nykaa and these platform companies, right? I mean, it might be that there'll be a lot of time correction despite the earnings because it might already be priced in.
It's a brutal way of market treating companies if they're not meeting the guidance or expectations.
तो Nykaa ने कहा
Nykaa में नहीं Nykaa ही नहीं. I'm saying अगर एक क्वार्टर में अगर वो स्लिप कहीं पर भी हो जाता है so then it's going to be an issue. Like PG Electro Plus again today down. Right? Means 40-45% down from in the last 3-4 days, which is
I think.
And despite the management coming in saying that they're going to do, improve upon what I think the guidance was lower.
But I think the most concerning part for me for PG was that he's come out and said that we actually had order cancellations. And that is a concern for me because you're saying that okay for all the other EMS companies when as soon as they get the order the market prices it and gives that kind of valuation assuming that the orders will come in. This is the first time an EMS company is saying okay we actually had order cancellations recently and it was 70% that orders were cancelled in this time.
And all ACs, huh?
And looks seems to be ACs only. So I'm saying then so the valuation that you gave for all these EMS companies because of order wins. Now that comes in question, but surprisingly we haven't seen that big of an impact on something like an Amber on EPAC, where they are in the same segment, but they have said that we are going to see revival in H2.
Amber numbers are out.
Amber numbers are out, EPAC numbers
But
are out.
they didn't say much on it.
So PG was the last one to come. That's why we'll only see these questions being posed to Amber and EPAC in the next quarter. But they've clearly said that Q2 is where they get new products for 2026. They put RFQs with customers, and only in H2 they see a recovery. But they are seeing a recovery in H2. With PG, you might not see that in Q4. Might be a hopeful quarter, but might not see that kind of the hope for PG might be that inventory correction happens, and then we see some revival. But that's the first time that I've seen such a move in EMS.
ये explain करो हिंदी में पीजी को क्यों प्रॉब्लम पड़ा जो दूसरों को नहीं पड़ा.
हाँ.
So basically जो उसके कस्टमर थे उन्होंने बोला कि हमको अभी और ऑर्डर नहीं चाहिए, बिकॉज हमारा इन्वेंट्री एसी का बहुत स्ट्रांग है, अभी ऑलरेडी बहुत सारा इन्वेंट्री है, तो हमको और ऑर्डर नहीं देना है. तो पीजी
जो एम्बर को नहीं पड़ा,
जो ईपैक
पड़ा हुआ तो बताया नहीं.
Because we saw that in numbers. 20% गया था एम्बर का भी earnings for EPAC revenues was down 34%. तो वो पता था. But they've not come out and said that we actually had order cancellation. वो एक concerning है part थोड़ा सा for me in this practice. So for next quarter we'll see all these questions being posed to management कि आपके orders cancellation है या आपके agreement में है क्या कि कितना आप cancel कर सकते हो. That for AC, because AC is inventory बहुत भर गया था and we know that. So I think that will be one of the key things which I'll watch for in the next quarter for PG, for EPAC, for Amber, all these companies.
But do you think that EMS is again under a cloud because of this kind of thing?
So we spoke to Dixon.
Dixon को छोड़ दो तुम.
नहीं Dixon का तो बताओ ना.
Dixon का कल हम बात करेंगे क्योंकि कल प्ले आउट कर रहे थे.
कल प्ले आउट कर रहे हैं.
Okay, ठीक है. So कल बात करेंगे. फिर बाकी होगा.
नहीं यार मतलब
Dixon and the others. Let's put it this way.
No, but even for the others, no, I don't think so यार. मतलब AC penetration है ही कितना यार. मतलब in the sense, मतलब अपने सामने ये बिल्डिंग हम दिखाएंगे नहीं, but अपने सामने ये बिल्डिंग बनी है. तो इसमें होंगे 400 फ्लैट, राइट?
वो ऐसा है
400 फ्लैट. अरे यार ऐसा है तो क्या हुआ? AC तो सब में लगता है. मिनिमम 400 एयर कंडीशनर्स यहाँ पे. गिन लो देश भर में कितनी बिल्डिंग बन रही है, कितने AC बिगड़ रहे हैं, कितने AC नए हो रहे हैं.
यार ये ना ये वो वन न्यूज बात हो गई कि 10-15 साल पहले गोल्ड लाख में बन रहा था तो सीमेंट कितना बिकेगा और कितना लगेगा.
नहीं भाई. So okay, you build a hypothesis right around every investment story. My hypothesis is that when we talk about AC penetration being strong or being X percentage,
8%.
We are low in AC penetration. Yes, I agree with you on that.
न्यूज बोलने नहीं देते.
सवाल पूछ के जवाब.
चलो किले बनाना शुरू करो.
वो जो है ना, that is अगर आपके घर में एक एसी पहुंच गया, after AC is penetrated. अभी आप मुझे बताओ पुनीत, आपके घर में कितने एयर कंडीशनर?
3.
चलो AC penetration X percentage for the country is based on 1 air conditioner per house.
Okay.
अभी तो घर में और AC लगना बाकी है भाई साहब. And as climate heating happens, आप बोलो कि what is the most important thing in the house after a refrigerator? And the Wi-Fi box. It's the aircon. ये ऑप्शन ही नहीं है जी.
I am not agreeing.
तो एक किला कैसे बना बताओ मुझे.
किले इसलिए बना क्योंकि इस बार कैसे गिरा.
अरे यार सीजनल है.
तो वही तो मैं बताने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ ना.
तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि it is not over the EMS story. मैं बोल रहा हूँ the EMS story is alive, kicking, it will last. They are even they cater to international markets as well.
So what we are trying to say is that yes, AC penetration will grow from here as more and more affordability comes into play, and then but the growth rate at which you are trying to do, it may not be as aggressive.
It may not be as strong.
That's what we are trying to say.
No, it depends on how strong Indian growth happens.
Yeah.
Or right now there are question marks on the quantum of growth, right?
Yeah.
अगर 6%, well, ideally we want 7.5, but अगर 6% की जो baseline गिरा है ना वो भी नहीं हुआ, तो पंगा है. तो पंगा है, right? If the textile job losses happen, all of these things go for a toss. Because all of that is subject to buoyancy in employment, right? So I think it all depends on that. We need growth. Growth is.
What are the other big things?
But I think for EMS, just to finish this, they've started to look at the second layer also right now, I feel. with components. I think
Yeah.
that is going to be the next big thing, which someone like Dixon has already started to mention, and Keynes has already started to mention.
So Honasa is the second one.
Yeah.
9% today.
Yeah.
Then there is Bombay Stock Exchange, which has gained about 4%.
Yeah.
Ola Electric, by the way, a lot of very smart money has got into Ola Electric. There's something happening. Anything happening in Ola?
I haven't heard
I think
anything.
they have an event on 15.
So they're going to launch the new one, na? And
I
the
think
new battery is
the
also
new
coming. to
battery-
Acha, so here's my question to you. What is it that they're gonna do? And why is it that people might be buying Ola?
I think one, of course, the correction. It's been very stark and very quick compared to last August. 76 rupee issue price, 157 rupee high. It's at 40 rupees right now. One is that. But majorly, I think it's and what might happen for Ola in this quarter is they'll go for batteries, using their own batteries within their own scooters. That will be one aspect, and the other one will be the launch of the EV bike. It's already in showrooms, is what they say. I've not yet seen it on the road, but I think those two things. But I feel like with what's happening with the company and essentially with how the company might actually in this particular time frame come back in terms of sales growth, I feel it's a longer story than what people might think right now.
Other Ether has plugged the gap
Very
of
much.
valuations
Yes,
with,
very much.
with Ola. Huh?
Valuation as well as market share.
Market
It's
share.
already at
Yeah.
14.5. Ola is at 17.5, and they are number 3 now.
And from a
So,
market
I
cap
don't
point of view, 14,500 crores for Ether now, and Ola is around 17,000 odd crores
Yeah.
in market cap. So that gap has been bridged.
Valuation, yeah.
Valuation gap has been bridged by Ether in a big way in the last 2 quarters actually.
Yeah. I think with the rationalization of stores, let's see how that happens. I think that's
But
going
this
to be.
store increase, is it happening for both of them? Because distribution is the
when
key
they,
for them,
when they
right?
came to us 2 months ago, I just asked them a very simple question: out of the 4,000 stores, how many has actually scored one scooter in this quarter? And they said that yes, we are rationalizing stores, this that, but they haven't mentioned that number yet. I think that's more important for me because see, when you compare it with Ather has 400 stores. He's going to 700. This guy has 4,000 stores. Bajaj has 4,000 touch points. It has roughly 300 stores of Chetak standalone. So I feel like some kind of rationalization has to happen of stores.
By the way, Bajaj in his earnings commentary or earnings call actually said that the margins are as good as ICE margins now for its EV vehicle.
Yeah. Because they're selling the lower cost, or like the more efficient model in terms of pricing.
Yes.
So that will happen now.
So that's what the CFO was saying, that the margins are as good as ICE now for them.
There will be some errors impact is also what he said, and I think we'll start seeing that now. We'll start seeing that now as well.
सवाल लेते हैं और इससे पहले
You want to address Apollo?
Apollo Hospital.
So
good number.
Comment, yeah.
Good numbers, right? And all hospitals. Right? Fortis came out at decent
And
set of numbers.
Helco was turnaround, I think.
Yeah,
Profitable.
and no, my larger point being, I think just the way the cost of healthcare is going up, all branded hospitals.
Yeah. We saw Medanta also come out with very good numbers.
All hospitals. And I think this could be the story for the next 3-4 years. Can you compromise on healthcare?
Not only that, as the health insurance also increases, then there is a natural multiplier effect which many of the hospitals are going to get it, right? Because of secondary and tertiary healthcare being very expensive and coming into the insurance ambit, it increases good visibility for many of them. HAL?
No view.
You saw the numbers. Top line was good. Margins expanded, but
The
profit
shot up a little bit as well.
Yeah, and it's up.
Slightly above estimate, right?
Yeah, but profit was slightly below because last year they had a lower
margin was above estimate.
Margin was above. Estimate for profit was slightly lower because of last year lower tax outgo. But the good thing is that they are sitting 1.7 lakh crores of order book, and expected order flow from upgrade of Sequoia is yet to come. LCA Mark II is yet to come. So that all those things are expected to come in. Incidentally, I was listening to AP Singh's lecture, and he was explaining the entire Sindoor thing. He was doing that in Delhi actually, and it gave me a sense that air power is going to be so. Whether Navy gets what it wants or not, but air power is going to be the next big game, and government investments are going to be in that direction. Whether it's in tools, whether in air defense, whether it's in aircrafts, all those things. Which is and gives you good idea of what the thinking is. So even the tedious speech which was which is there, it's easily there in YouTube actually, and these guys are now openly talking about how they went about doing it. They talk about how AFR is becoming central for everyone, even for the Navy, even for the Army, because all of them have the aviation wings as well.
Yep.
So it becomes very interesting for them. And HLE is providing all those things. But let's take the questions. Is there any questions?
Yeah, so I have to rush for the show, but I just
Yeah.
had one this thing of JSW Cement. What is your expectation for listing tomorrow?
Sajeet interviewed JSW.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was slightly overvalued compared to the current peers like Ultratech and Ambuja and all.
Yeah.
But it got muted for 5.5 times only actually.
Size?
Size of 15 2000 crore?
3,600 crore with OFS included.
With OFS included. So around that. That's
There were a couple of concerning things. Right? The net debt to EBITDA is almost 7 times.
Yeah.
And with this also, they are not reducing the debt. It's a 6,000 crore debt at JSW.
See,
Cement.
their
only
capacity
reaching
is
500 crores.
20 million tons.
Yeah.
They're sitting in capacity utilization of 12, which is 60%. They plan to go in the next 3 to 4 years to 40 million tons. They plan to bring down the net debt to EBITDA to 2.8 times, which is a steep ask. We're looking at higher. So they're currently in east, west, and south, and they're now going into the northern market.
Yeah.
So they're hoping that that expansion will help them in bringing more cash flows and reduce the net debt to EBITDA to 2.8 times, which they plan to do and maintain that. So 40 million tons is the guidance in next 4 years, 3 to 4 years for them. And it's listing tomorrow actually.
Yeah.
So,
Watch out.
so listing gains are not going to be so big, but yeah, it will be a positive listing in my view.
But even if like not on JSW Cement specifically, like what do you think? Because it is loss making right now, and the numbers on net debt is higher. So compare that with when you see there's opportunity in JK Cement, when you see there are other players who are at a similar size. Why would the market reward it right now?
That's a good question which he should also answer
because if not JSW specifically,
I'll tell you why.
entity,
because construction, real estate, everything you have to bring into an infra has been slow. But what is driving the cement prices is the price hike which has happened in the last 1 quarter, right? 8 to 10% price hike.
And the outlook is very positive.
Especially in the southern markets where price hike was not happening, they've seen 8 to 10% hike, which has happened. So that's something is driving all the cement players. Volume growth उतना नहीं आ रहा है. Volume growth 4 to 6% ही होगा उसका. But price hike is what is going to drive the realization per ton for many of them. But do you think that the revival of S2 for construction, real estate, and infra is going to happen?
Cross fingers. I think that is one way of getting growth back, right? And it's a great multiplier effect. So most certainly will happen. Let's take questions, guys.
Let's take questions. Gaurav Bhatia.
Yes.
For the show.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Thank you for joining in today.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Acha. I think Gaurav Bhatia has a question on JM Financial.
बताइए.
What is your view on JM Financial? Focus on core business seems to be working as seen in Q1 numbers. Your view on numbers? Yes, I think I was speaking to Harsh, and he was saying that now they're going only into lending and they're not going into unsecured kind of capital markets lending. So they're just doing only home finance and secured lending, which they're going to do, and that seems to work for them. They will have the merchant banking one and secured financing, which they're looking at. I think what's your view on Awas and IndusInd at these levels? I think we need to get Harsh for that.
No, but on I think on
IndusInd we are looking at a turnaround, right? But it's a 2 to 3 quarter turnaround.
At least, maybe more.
Ajit Emmanuel, what's happening to data center stocks like Anant Raj? The story is still intact, right? Question mark.
Yes, I would think so. I don't think these stories get changed.
These are long-term stories, right? Of course, there have been run-up in these stocks because we are but to set up and great scale, you take at least 2 to 3 years before it starts coming in. But there are lots of players coming into data centers. So that's the one which is driving.
And India will stick to this policy.
Yes.
Data should be in India.
Data localization will drive data center growth in India. And if anyone wants to come into India, they need to have data centers in India, or they have to hire data centers, simple as that, which is going to be. Uh, Great show. View on Ganesh housing.
Lot of land bank, serious land bank, and therefore the development pipeline is very strong. I remember an interview maybe 6 to 9 months ago that I did with them. Right, terrific land bank, and they are partnering with some global names in order to develop very fine parcels, etc. So uh, the notes are very constructive. The stock has run up a bit, but the notes are constructive.
But वो execution अभी नहीं हुआ है, right?
Whatever.
Is it reflecting the number? I haven't seen the number.
I think so. I haven't seen the last quarter numbers, but looking good.
Very surprised by the benign inflation data in US. This even with the highest tariff raise in last 100 years across commodities and all imports.
So actually, commodity prices are not high, but commodity prices are low actually. So therefore, that shouldn't be a surprise. The thing is, the surprise was that the tariff impacted sectors haven't quite shown the uptick as yet. But core inflation in US did pick up a little bit by it. This is the markets rallied because despite the inflation data, the tariff impacted sectors did not go up, which is why Trump put out the post on Truth Social as well for Goldman and all of that. But I think
yesterday the data for custom duty and BOP, balance of payments, also came in for US, and I think $27 billion is what they had for July, which is a 270% jump over last July for them. So the tariff has brought in some kind of thing, but they're still sitting on a very high deficit, $290 billion that is sitting on.
Yeah, will the inflation in the US pick up? Who knows? I think it will might. A lot of notes saying
the Treasury
that
Secretary was saying that he will be happy to see if the total revenue from tariff increases to $300 billion. But still, he's sitting in a huge deficit. Right? So I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. But inflation is now slowly showing up in apparel and other stuff which are getting
and show up further.
But that has increased the speculation on Fed rate cut in September. Further. So that is again revised. I think. Do you think it will come? No. December में ही होगा.
September is difficult.
नहीं लग रहा.
I doubt Jerome Powell will.
Okay. Sir, preview for Aditya Birla Fashion. Do you have any idea? No, I don't have. I haven't seen the preview, but we can get you. What's your view on Eureka Forbes poised for turnaround?
Well, Pratik Kota. Here comes. Here comes cavalry. But we are almost ending the show.
I was told that you all are a man down.
Yeah.
So I thought let me join.
With you, even if there are 4 people, we are a man down without you.
So, there's certain question like Awas Financial, which we wanted to ask.
We have 3 more minutes.
3 more minutes. Awas Financial का बताओ जल्दी क्या हो रहा है?
और IndusInd Bank का बताओ.
So Awas Financial ka broadly the numbers were good. There was some bit of contraction in margins, which would be a concern. I want to know whether margins can improve substantially going forward, whether they can bridge for the margins which have fallen or not going forward. So that's one. Second is there's been some inch up in credit cost, which is so these two factors have impacted ROA. Now it's not meaningful in terms of the inch up, but qualitatively, is there a problem? That's what I want to understand better now. Once the con call happens and once we get a better guidance, we'll have better visibility. But those were the 2 concerns which I had with regard to Awas. But otherwise, it was a decent set. So profit grew, but it just didn't grow in proportion to the AUM growth. So that to a certain extent was.
You were completing your Eureka Forbes?
No, Eureka was Pratik Kota. Pratik Kota, you bet on the man. That can he do the same thing to Eureka Forbes which he did to Jubilant Foodworks at a point of time. I think that's what the bet everybody's making.
And I think
they've turned a corner of sorts recently. Let's see if they put on. I think if I'm not wrong, just a second before we move on to something else. I think आज एक note भी आई है
Eureka पे.
हाँ Eureka Forbes पे एक ही second लगेगा मुझे. If you can give me a minute, guys. So Eureka Forbes, there's a Nomura note right here. There's a Nomura note on Eureka Forbes which says the focus is to drive broad-based growth. They are neutral. Their target price has been increased from 603 to 624. And they say while Q1 EBITDA margin was below estimate, their note was strong versus peers, even adjusted for seasonal factors, which is a positive.
ये मोबाइल फोन देख लो, इसके अंदर बहुत कुछ पड़ा है. अच्छा, final question, I think. Can we draw parallels between stock price movements of Hitachi Energy, Siemens Energy to Trent and KPIT, where they keep moving up till a quarter shows weak numbers or guidance becomes subdued? आप बोलो, मुझे पता. No parallels आप बताओ.
पूरे अलग सेक्टर्स है ना.
हाँ, सब अलग अलग सेक्टर्स है, बट ये बेसिकली कह रहा है कि स्टॉक भागता रहता है जब तक
क्वार्टरली नंबर
नहीं आते.
हिताची के तो नंबर अच्छे हैं.
हिताची के नंबर ठीक थे, सीमेंस के नहीं थे, राइट भाई.
सीमेंस के भी नंबर अच्छे थे इस बार. I don't know. Sorry, am I misreading this? If, to the best of my memory, both Siemens and Hitachi came out with good numbers. Yeah.
I think ABB was also only muted.
ABB was muted.
ABB was simple. But Trent and KPIT.
Trent, Trent, yeah, on the base, yes, it is growing slower. But the long-term guidance till 2032 is good. KPIT actually said that second half is actually looking positive. The numbers were bad. They said second half is positive. In fact, I remember post that release and they announced some tie-up. The stock actually shot up in trade that day. But yeah, I mean, see, they all of these are expensive stocks. So you got to be mindful of that. But I don't know if I mean, the first two at least, Hitachi, the numbers are okay actually. I'll be really shocked if the numbers were bad. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
Achha, final question. EasyGo and Yatra moved up and they have more potential since the travel industry is booming.
Was commentary solid the Yatra ki, in the interview with us?
Yeah.
A very strong commentary. Very positive. Good numbers also.
Yeah.
Very good numbers. Solid numbers.
Profitable?
Yeah. But then there is one anomaly in all of the numbers. So I thought hotel numbers would be bad. Hotel numbers were good. Yatra numbers were good. But TF has mentioned that traffic at the airport lounges and the not just the lounges, sorry, the restaurant, the QSR was down. GMR showed that the footfalls were down. So did people use less planes and travel more by trains?
But this was a quarter where it would have been down, right?
No, but the Yatra ka itne अच्छे number है भाई साहब, मैं वो बोल रहा हूँ. So थोड़े mixed cues हैं. We spoke yesterday extensively to Patanjali Keswani. He was very constructive on the hotels business.
Lemon tree, no?
But for the space at large, he was very constructive.
Yeah, and IHCL also, in fact, I was reading something on IHCL today, and they said that, and the chairman said that, or the managing director said that tourism will be 10% of the total GDP of the country by 2047, which is $3 trillion. Will just be tourism. I mean, that's just the boom that there is. Now,
defense will be 7.5% of GDP by 2047.
Now, if I wear Sajeet sir's hat, it may be 25-30% off. But $2 trillion is still very, very large, even if we are 35% off. So
आज के दिन तो हवाई किले बनाने का है.
ये तो see, I think Puneet Chhatwal measured आदमी है, तो सोच के बोला होगा. But just before end, I love Patanjali Keswani's comment. And he said that everybody's talking about how do you target people who are coming in. But there are 100 million Indians who are traveling out every year. We want to target them. So we are going to build hotels where Indians are traveling the most. Dubai hua, Singapore hua, Hong Kong hua, Thailand hua, and Sri Lanka. That's where most Indians are traveling. UAE.
Dubai ho gaya na?
He said UAE mein Dubai predominantly and Sharjah. So he said we want to now build hotels there so that Indians have an Indian hotel to stay in when they go there. So very interesting.
So they're going global.
On that note,
yes, let's end today, and tomorrow we come back.
We come back tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys.